Hello.
Hello?
Hey, how are you?
Hi, Shab. Good. How are you?
Good. Okay, good. I see you. That's perfect.
Oh, okay, great. Can
Excellent.
you
How's your
hear
day
me
been?
okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, because I do have a little heater on, so I hope it's not causing any background noise.
No, I don't hear anything. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's perfect because I've been told I have a loud voice. So if you didn't, I'd be kind of worried. I'd be kind of worried. How's everything at your end?
Oh, good. Yeah, yeah. Nice, good Saturday morning. I had a client this morning and now just did a few errands and now ready for our call.
Okay, that's perfect. I know you've been really busy, eh? So I know we've been trying to like plan this for a while.
I appreciate your patience. That's
No,
for
no
sure.
problem. No problem at all. I think a lot of people will find the call really useful just because it's about food, and
Yeah,
everyone needs food. So,
yes, that's true.
right. So just before we start the call, so like let's let the people know what your background is. Like who's Jodi?
Yeah, exactly. I can do that. No worries.
All right, excellent. So, yeah, a little bit of your background and then how you got into nutrition.
Okay,
All right, perfect,
sure.
good stuff. All right, perfect. Yeah, you can start. I'm recording the call anyway, so.
Oh, okay. So we're officially starting. Okay, okay.
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay, all good. So yeah, I'm Jodi, Jodi Robinson, and yeah, so we know each other, Shahab, because you were my student
hmm
at Humber College. So one of the things I do is I teach nutrition to fitness students at Humber, and also since last year I've been teaching culinary students as well at Niagara College. So one of my passions is definitely teaching, but overall I consider myself, because I kind of do have my hand in a few different pots, so to speak, in the dietitian world. I still kind of group it all together as my role is helping people learn how to eat healthy in a way that's simple, realistic, and sustainable. And that's, I think, a lot of people get very overwhelmed about nutrition, right? Because there's so much mixed information out there. So, if I can kind of curb someone's confusion and clarify things and just help them take that deep breath and feel more confident about their food choices, then that makes my day.
That's awesome. Now, before we get to the food part, you're juggling a lot of things, so I want to just ask, how do you balance everything out?
Yeah, that sometimes I wonder that myself, and yeah, and I definitely it's a learning process. I think, like with everyone, we're juggling so much, so it's taking it day by day, and for me, it's really about taking those shortcuts. Right,
hmm
and being okay with taking those shortcuts. And I think a lot of us tend to be really hard on ourselves and feel like we have to do this and do that and do everything perfectly. But my mentality is that sometimes it's okay just to do good enough.
Right.
you know yeah, and I mean, we always want to put our best foot forward, but we also need to balance that with managing our stress and giving ourselves those opportunities for self-care. So I think that involves, like, if we're talking healthy lifestyle, which I know we're going to get more into, like, there's so many shortcuts that are completely okay that I love sharing with my clients and my students, because by taking them, it gives you more room for other things that are important in life, like family, spending time with loved ones and doing things that you enjoy. Like, life shouldn't have to be all about work, so trying
Right.
to fine balance. And then the work that you do, I think, because I enjoy everything I do, it makes it a little bit easier to juggle everything.
A little bit simpler, totally. Now, because you are busy, because you have Niagara and Humber, and you teach yoga as well, right?
Yeah, that's one thing I've been taking a little bit of a hiatus on. I do own self practice several times a week, but I've been taking a
Okay.
bit of a break of teaching. So that's another example where, at first I was kind of hard on myself, thinking, I should do that too. But then I thought, you know what, like, because of some other job opportunities that have come about more on the dietitian side, I was like,
Cool.
it's okay. I'm going to put some focus on this for the time being. I know I can always come back and bring back in the fitness a little bit down the road. And
To-
again, not over it.
Totally. So okay, so do you have a certain day where you do the meal prep where your week gets easier, or do you do it over a few days? How do you run your food schedule per se, right? Because I think that's what a lot of people have trouble with.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And I mean, there's two ways you can go about it, right? Like you can get into a system that you're very regimented with your meal planning, say on a Sunday, you know, you have more time available at home and do some batch cooking and out. And like, that's awesome. Work with a lot of my clients to get into that schedule. Me personally, I'm more of the other option, which is like on the fly. So for me, I know, crazy it is. That's often people are like, really? But it's true. It's like once you know what like foods you need to have in the house, and once you know how to make that health plate and how to put these snacks together, and you're confident about that, you really can do it on the fly. Right? So I always make sure I have the right foods available in the house, in my purse, in my bag going to school or going to work. And I just make sure that they're readily available. I can like whip like a healthy meal together in no time because I just have those tools available, right? So you can really encounter problems if you just don't have those foods available.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And I think food's one of those things that you're gonna slightly have to get out of your comfort zone and start to actually cook certain meals and practice if you want to eat better rather than just kind of eating outside and getting that fast fix, right?
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing too is realizing it's not all or nothing. Okay, so that's definitely like a mindset to realize like healthy eating doesn't mean a perfectly home cooked meal made from scratch every night. Okay. And once you recognize that, you realize, you know, okay to maybe take out like a free cutlet of chicken, but you know what? I'm going to put that with some brown rice, but you know what? It's the new blue menu brown rice. It's in a little pack and you can put it in the microwave for 90 seconds and it's done. And with that, I'm going to open up like a salad that's already been prepared, you know, in one of the big salads. So again, it's a healthy, balanced meal. I didn't really make it myself per se, but I'm still giving my body, you know, the nutrition it needs and the right balance and focusing on portion sizes. You're good to go.
And
no
that,
stress.
yeah, you know what? It's perfect because that goes back to the shortcuts you were talking about.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So it kind of takes a little bit of stress away. Okay, that's perfect. Are there any like non-negotiables for people? Like you need to have this, you know, certain amount of food or, you know, these many vitamins or minerals from food or supplementation that you tell your clients about. Like you need vitamin D and then B6, B12. Like how do you go about that for your tribe? Let's just say.
Yeah, for sure. That's an excellent question. And, you know, there's definitely, established dietary goals, right? That, you know, research shows that we as humans need. There's over nutrients that the body needs. And, you know, we get those from food and food is just packages of those nutrients. But like when you think about like through the whole entire world, like how many different cultures there are and different styles of eating and different foods, like there's so many ways that you can achieve those nutrient goals. So when you're thinking like non-negotiables, like, I mean, it's a matter of how you kind of look at it, right? Like you do need a balanced diet and an adequate diet. Those are two of the 5 key principles of healthy eating, but how you achieve that is really individual to you, right? So I always customize with my clients based on their preferences and their day-to-day schedule and what they can themselves enjoying it in a sustainable way. You know, kind of loop into some general guidelines that are really helpful is great with this last week. Did you hear about the new Canada's food guide that came out?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, so there's a lot of great messages in it, and it's really focused now more on just making that healthy plate, and it's not focused on the food groups with very specific number of food guide servings anymore. So the plate is half a plate fruits and vegetables, a quarter plate whole grains, and a quarter plate protein with a greater emphasis on plant-based proteins versus animal-based proteins. And it's great because it's so simple. It's one of the tools us dietitians have already been sharing with our clients for years and years. And it's great that the new food guide is focused on this because it's so practical, right? So again, once you know what goes into each of those categories, you can be as flexible as you want with them. And then if you're achieving that most of the time, again, it doesn't have to be all the time. It's not about being perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect diet. You're going to get those nutrients that your body needs. So I would say, like, in terms of, what are the non-negotiables, is like find a way that you enjoy eating, including your favorite cultural traditional foods, and try your best to adapt and follow to that healthy plate model, and you can't go wrong.
Perfect. Once again, simplified. Right?
So, yeah, exactly. Keep it simple. Keep it very, very simple.
Very simple. So here's something I want to ask, and I know a lot of people always kind of get caught up on this. What to do with carbohydrates, like when it comes to the breads and the pastas and all that stuff? Are there certain ones that are okay, or just stay away from bread? Because there's a whole bunch. You put something like that on Google, you'll get literally, I think, millions of results, and
Yes,
it'll have some good information, right? So yeah.
Ongoing
So
controversies are those carbs.
yeah. So what's like, are there certain people that you will allow, like certain one of your clients that you'll allow them to have some level of carbs and some not, depending on what their needs are and what their, maybe it has some medical condition? Like, what's your take on it?
Yeah. So for sure, like, it's always important to remember that carbohydrates are the preferred main fuel source for the human body. So just like gasoline is to get to your car to run well, we need carbohydrates, and the brain especially really needs carbohydrates. We don't want to be afraid of carbohydrates, but like any other nutrient, your body really craves a balanced approach, right? So, like anything, if all you ate was a big plate of pasta, just like if all you ate was a big plate of protein or a big plate of even vegetables, like, you're not going to get that balance that your body needs. So again, it loops back into that healthy portion, looking for about a quarter of your plate to be carbohydrate-based foods. So grains or starchy vegetables, preferably whole grains. So then you're getting more fiber. Most Canadians don't get enough fiber, which we need for blood sugar control, healthy digestion. If you're looking to watch your weight in a healthy way, it gives you that filling, satisfying effect. Okay, so again, it's getting that right amount of carbohydrates through the day and from the right amounts. And of course, if someone has diabetes, you need to be a little bit more careful, even more so about portion sizes and when you're having them, but we all need the carbohydrates.
Okay, perfect. And when it comes to protein and fat, I guess we need like a moderate amount of protein and like a good amount of fat too, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, and that's why it's great, like, just thinking again about like the plate and healthy portion sizes for you, because if you focus on that, the nutrients, like the actual grams of protein and grams of fat and grams of carbs, are going to take care of themselves. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's not so much having to like count and all of that. Like, it just really, really simplifies things. And I mean, there's still, like, nutrition is a science, and in the world of science, it's actually one of the newer sciences. It's continuously evolving. That's why we're seeing an update to the food about every 10 years, and we see updates to dietary recommendations based on new research that comes in, and there's a lot of controversy, like, even between different nutrition experts, different about debate about how much protein the body needs, how much carbohydrate you need, what the fat is good and not good. And it's really, really fascinating. And a lot of people get very emotional, about their stance on nutrition, understandably. And I feel like, yeah, and I understand it. It's because, again, we need food. It's part of our culture. It's part of our day to day. But my personal stance is just to be more relaxed about it, more relaxed about it, and through some trial and error, find what's best for you. Like, if you come to see me for some nutrition advice and you find, having, the general recommendation of, the quarter plate grain or starch, maybe you're finding that is a little too much, we'll work with that. We'll find that better approach, because the research of nutrition, it's still at the point where we're trying to figure out why everyone is still a little bit different. We all have different DNA, different metabolism, right? So it's about finding, again, what works best for you.
Totally. That's perfect. Just try to keep it as simple as you can.
Yeah, and there really is no one right diet for anyone. That's a red flag if anyone says, this is the only diet, that's going to work and it works for everyone. It's not true. Nutrition is a science. food contains nutrients, the body needs nutrients, but we can get those in so many different ways. And we're still trying to learn and identify why different people respond differently to different types of diets, right? So that's why it's so great to get personalized advice from a dietitian, so that they can help work one-on-one with you to find out that right type of diet for you.
Right type of diet. Right. Because there's a lot of either, whether you call it a diet or a way of eating, but there's so many. I mean, keto is blowing through the roof right now.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And the funny thing is, it's been around for a long time, but then now it's got a name, keto. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a low carb diet. It's had many years in many different forms, but that's essentially what it is. And for some people, it does. I tend to see people come. Most of my clients come to see me after they've tried the keto or other fad diets and they haven't worked. Okay. So that's, So that's really, who I help the most, is because for the majority of people, these trendy fad diets do not work because they're not sustainable and they're not realistic. So I always like to work with people to help them realize, again, healthy eating isn't that complicated. Let's keep it simple and let's work on taking the emotions out of eating, because sometimes we get caught up in, whether it's keto or whatever diet. It's not about picking on any certain type of diet, but anything that people have in their mind, this is the way to do it, this should be working, and then it doesn't, right? And then they feel it takes a lot of guilt on them. They might feel shame. They might feel it might lead to a cycle of restricting and binging and disordered eating. And that's a lot of what I work with, is helping people kind of claim a healthier relationship with food because they've had an unfortunate some bad experiences with a lot of the diets that are out there.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And like you said, there's a lot of, I don't want to call it a fad, but yeah, there's a lot of different ways, and I think people get confused. And that's what, like you said, that's where the emotions come in, and then people start to emotionally eat. Then they feel crappier because they just ate some more chocolate than they should have, and it's just a cycle, right? It's a cycle. Everyone, every food tells a story for most people, I find.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's true. Food does have a lot of stories, and it's so many attachments to food. Food isn't just about our physiological need. If it really was, I think everything would be a lot easier. But, we have to recognize and also appreciate the fact that food is culture, it's tradition, it's celebration, it's comfort. There's so many elements to food, and I think we should be, embracing that as best possible, but trying to do it in a healthy way.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Have you ever had people, ever had clients come to you, and let's just say they're from a family where food is, it's a big cultural thing. It's food means love, essentially. So if in their family you don't want to eat some of mom's homemade cooking, let's just say, because the portions are humongous. Have you ever had clients come to you and ask how they can go about changing their habits, or maybe, cut down on some of the portions because they're so used to having a lot of food, a lot of portions and such?
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about changing your habits around food?
And I think, for sure. And I think you identified the key word there is habits, right? So it really is about changing our habits. And that's where the majority of research shows that especially for healthy weight management, it's about taking that habit-based approach. And as humans, we're not good at changing our habits, with anything, not just food-wise, okay? So it's about kind of taking things slow, taking things step by step. So number one is you don't need to be changing everything, especially when it makes me really sad when people feel that they can't eat in the way that their family and their traditions are accustomed to eating. Okay, you can eat all of your cultural foods and your favorite foods, but it still comes down to eating the right portions, the right balance. So whatever it is, right? Rice, proteins, vegetables, you can, as long as you know how it fits in that plate and you know the right portion for you. So grains and starches is your clenched fist for most people. For protein, it's the palm of your hand. And then your vegetables and fruits are about 2 handfuls or both of those portions combined. for the average person. Again, there's variability, especially based on age or based on activity level, but for most people that tends to do the trick. So again, pick whatever your favorite food is, compare that to what the healthy portion size is for you and how it should be arranged on your plate according to Health Canada's Healthy Plate, and you're good to go.
Perfect.
I know, I make it seem very easy, but in the long run, it can be that easy, but it's always, again, with the habits, it takes time. So another key thing I talk to my clients about is having patience. Have patience with yourself, right? So it takes, let yourself focus on one or two things at a time and then build on from that, okay? And so if someone's portions are like 3 handfuls of say rice, like to go from 3 handfuls to 1 handful, that's a big jump, right? It's okay to slowly make that adjustment. Again, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. So it might just be, if someone's used to never having vegetables for dinner, and just like lots of grains and starches or lots of protein, maybe they're going to having vegetables just 3 times a week for dinner, right? And over time you build, and that helps with those habits, but in a less stressful way. If we change too much at once, it's the body perceives that as a stress, and it can make it really hard to continue that change. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. You don't want your cortisol going through the roof.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's a key thing too, is like, we're like just such a stressed society with so much going on in all of our lives. So I really encourage, like when you're trying to make changes to your health and to your lifestyle, is always ask yourself, does this reduce my stress or add to my stress?
Right.
If it adds to your stress, that's a red flag. And then ask yourself, what can I do to modify this goal so it doesn't cause more stress? Right. And often that just means taking it down, right? Instead of having this goal that's way up here, taking it down here. And you're still eventually going to get there, but just a little slower, right? And that's fine, because there's nothing worse. And this is what happens all the time, is you set these big goals, you don't achieve them because it's not realistic. So then you crash, you go back to your usual habits, and then you hit rock bottom. So then you set this big goal again, you crash again, and it just creates this cycle.
Yeah.
But if you just slowly start to shift things, before you know it, you've made all these wonderful changes. You're feeling so much better. And then it just feels like that lifestyle. It's not a diet, because, it really is like your diet is like it's like you're eating habits for life, right? It's not some, it's not set to a specific period of time. Like you have to, like whatever you do to get healthier, you have to keep doing. There's not really an end point. Ask yourself, can I sustain this? Like, is this realistic for me in the long term? And if it's not, if you feel restricted, if you feel deprived, then that's like, think about how you can modify the goal so that it is more sustainable and realistic.
Right. Yeah. If I feel deprived, I don't think I can, I don't think that's good.
Exactly. Yeah. Right? Everyone has favorite foods. Enjoy your favorite foods. Just enjoy them in moderation, which is another principle of optimal nutrition. And the 20 principle, I don't know if you remember that from class, but like focusing on all the good, healthy foods.
Oh, yeah.
20% of the time, 20% of the time, have your McDonald's fries or ice cream, whatever your thing is. It's all good.
Oh, you made a lot of ears just jolt up at that comment there.
I think probably. I really
McDonald's, yes.
That was actually my first job ever in high school, was at McDonald's. So.
Oh, well, there you go. And did you sneak in some of the fries or what?
I'm sure I did. I think at the time I was really into their sundaes. The chocolate fudge sundaes.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite.
Yeah. Well, you know what? One of my guilty pleasures is butter pecan tarts. I love tarts. I don't have them every day, but every once in a while.
Yeah, and I would just encourage you to have a little dessert. Yeah, and then I would just encourage you next time you have it to take the word guilty out of it and just focus on the pleasure.
And I think that's another thing. If people are on a good trajectory, and let's just say they have a day or maybe a couple of days, it's a family gathering, maybe it's Thanksgiving or whatever the case may be. If they have an excess of food, then they feel bad, and they feel like they're starting from square one. So I think that's a mindset shift people got to make, that like life happens.
Yes.
Right. Life happens, as long as life isn't happening all the time. Right. Every day. Oh my God. But,
yeah. I mean, and sometimes it can, but it's also still like, even in those periods of life is still recognizing like that actually still is normal. So it's making the best choice that you can during those times, and we're very fortunate that even in the food industry, because we're as a whole becoming more health conscious, like restaurants are catching on to that. And even pretty much any restaurant, you can find a moderately healthy choice, or maybe it's a combination. If you're on the go a lot, or some like complete craziness is going on in your life, is, always having a healthy snack stash with you. And that's one of the things I do. I don't leave the house without healthy snacks,
Right.
So if you get caught up an extra crazy day or extra long commute, you can always just reach over and like, there's some almonds, there's a piece of like a cheese stick, there's an apple, there's some energy bites you made on the weekend that you kind of threw in your bag, a high fiber granola bar, like all of these things, like have those available so that you're less reliant on convenience, more processed foods.
Yeah, totally. Do you work with people who might have some thyroid issues, or maybe they don't have a thyroid in general, and that really just alters their metabolism?
Yeah, so there's a lot of people that deal with thyroid related issues, and then that can definitely make it harder to manage weight.
Mm-hmm.
It still comes down to the same principles, with healthy, balanced eating and watching portions, and then making sure that you're working with your medical team to get the right medication to help to balance out your thyroid levels.
Right. That's the thing, right? And because I work with a couple of gals with no thyroid actually, so we gotta watch. What you have. And yes, you can have a treat every once in a while, but it gets tricky, as long as you don't overdo it, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's for all of us, right? But also remember, like, everything in moderation, even moderation.
Right. Yeah. Even moderation.
So
Yeah.
even one has a health related issue. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, even like whether it's diabetes or thyroid or anything like that, in those instances, you do need to be more careful than someone that's not dealing with those, but you still want to eat in a normal way because health isn't just about our physical body. It's about our emotional well-being. It's about our mental well-being, right? So that means even in those cases, letting yourself have a flexible approach to eating, because again, it's going to make it more realistic and sustainable.
Mm-hmm. Totally. I'm glad you said that. What's your take on cleanses? These juice cleanses.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and all these cleanses.
Yeah, so us dietitians with cleanses, we're very, look at the science of it and recognizing like we have everything in the body that's needed to cleanse. We have our lungs, we have our colon, we have our skin, we have our liver. So really by focusing on giving our body the nourishing foods, the right foods, then it allows our body to optimize our own natural like detoxing and cleansing processes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. 'Cause I know, a lot of people get the craze on the juice cleanses, and but for a short amount of time, I guess, to detox, right? And then they just eat whatever foods. But I find, because I know a few people who've done it, and I find when they introduce certain foods back, then they might feel, maybe puffy eyes or something. They feel things that they haven't felt before. So, okay, maybe this is, I guess it's similar to like the elimination diet. You just stop eating certain foods for a while, and then you introduce them back, and then you just see how you feel. Maybe this food causes inflammation, and maybe you didn't even realize before you stopped eating them, right? Have you ever done any kind of like elimination thing, or are you more like let's just see what works for you, what doesn't, and let's make it catered, right?
Yeah, so I really, my big focus with people is really trying to find that healthy relationship with food,
Right.
focusing on all foods fit and finding a way that's sustainable. And of course, I mean, legitimately, a lot of people have food intolerances and have food allergies. So if there's any suspect food, then for sure you can do an elimination and challenge. But often is the case, it's just not having a balanced diet and not having, not eating regular, like 90% of the time, even probably more than 90% with my clients, speaking from my experience.
Right.
from the evidence that talks about like healthy eating and healthy weight management. Like it really is just find that healthy, balanced approach, versus going right away and thinking like it's a certain food causing a problem, or I should do something more drastic. If you take, again, the more simple step-by-step approach, that'll, for most people, it tends to, again, just make it a little bit easier and more realistic to keep eating that
way. Right. That's perfect. How can people fall in love with food, right? Because a lot of people have this weird relationship with it, and they almost feel guilty, like we said before. I know there's no one real answer. How do I fall in love with food? But from your experience, how can you tell your clients that it's okay to have certain off days and such? Like, how can people just be a little stress-free when it comes to food?
Yes, for sure. And I mean, recognize, I think we're all naturally in love with food. I mean, we're all born innately to love food. Look at any little baby or any little kid learning, about food. Like we love food, but it's as we get older and we get all of this messaging, whether it's in our environment or the media about this food is bad, that food is bad. And then we just start to get so confused, right? So always bring it back to food is just food. Take the emotions out of it. There is no bad food unless it's moldy and rotten in your fridge. Right. Food is bad. So I really encourage everyone to take out the emotional connection to food and detach yourself from that, and just focus on eating the foods that you love in a balanced way and eating in a mindful way. So that means slowing down, eating as free of distractions as possible, cooking more at home with others, eating more together. These are all messages from the new food guide as well, because we have to recognize that, food isn't, again, just about our physical being. It's about our emotional and our mental well-being as well. And so by recognizing that, it just helps us love food more and appreciate what it does for the body and what it does too. It tastes great. It helps you relax. It's all these wonderful things. It's just only when things spiral out of control that it can become problematic. But if you start to let yourself heal with that and give yourself permission that all foods fit, there's no bad foods. Try to follow the 80-20 principle as best possible. And that, therefore, food will be less of a focus in your life in a negative way, and more in that positive way where you can enjoy and appreciate everything that food does for us.
No, trust me, we all need more positivity in our lives.
Yeah, exactly. So let's start it with food.
Right. Yeah, no, totally. What you put in, you get out.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah.
How important is the gut bacteria, like your microbiome, rather than, because they call that the second brain, right?
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of research connecting our gut health to our immunity, and also stress can definitely affect our gut health as well. So a lot of people, when they feel very stressed, it can affect their digestion. So it's just really interesting, that mind-body connection again, right? So if you notice that when you feel stressed, it affects your digestive well-being, then that's a sign, again, it's even in that case, what is the root issue, right? So it might not be the diet. It might be that you need to manage your stress and well-being a little bit better. So then your body can better absorb and digest the foods that you give it. But in general, for most people, if you just focus on a healthy, balanced diet, you're going to be giving your digestive system, the healthy bacteria that it needs to flourish.
And I think, there's certain, it's funny. I used to eat a lot of Korean food with my buddies in high school back in the day.
Okay, yeah.
And kimchi was one of them, and it's fermented and it's good for the gut, right? But I had no idea.
Yeah. Oh, so you're doing a good thing, not even realizing it.
Yeah, right. And I mean, it tasted good. So
that's the best. I always say, when it's nutritious and delicious at the same time, it's the perfect combination.
Are there okay? So are you a big are you a big gal when it comes to pre and probiotic, or do you just mostly get it from food when it comes to your gut?
Yeah. And if you I mean, there is a lot of evidence directing us that for certain digestive concerns, there's certain strains of probiotics that can best help that. So you'd want to work alongside your dietitian to help figure out what that probiotic supplement may be best for you. But if you're just, normally healthy digestion and you're just focusing on general good health, you don't need to be going and getting a probiotic supplement. Just focus on trying to get those pro and prebiotics from your food. So more fermented foods, probiotic rich yogurt. There's lots of food sources available. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, because that's a big thing too, right? Like this research is popping up all over the internet, especially with like all the YouTube, gurus, I guess, right? Right, talking about gut health, and it's important. So I think people should take that into consideration.
Absolutely.
And it plays such a role in how you deal with things, how your mindset is towards things, and just your overall physiology, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So it's huge. Do you like smoothies? Are you
smoothies?
Yeah. Do you tend to make them for yourself, or just get all your stuff from food itself? Right? Because I'll tell you why I ask. Because
sure.
I don't. I tend not to really eat I don't like salads per se, right? I'm not a big salad guy, so I tend to just make a smoothie and just shove spinach and kale in there. And
awesome.
I like vegetables. I'll eat the vegetables, but I don't like to make a salad. I'm weird like that. So,
Nothing weird about that. Don't you worry. Right? I love it. You're showcasing that you're finding what works for you, right? So just because you don't eat salad doesn't mean that you're not just as healthy as someone that does, right? You're getting your greens in another way. You're throwing it in a blender. You're making a smoothie. You're enjoying it, and it's working for you. So that's great.
That's perfect. The reason why I asked is I was wondering if there's any go-to recipes that you have for yourself personally that just make you feel great. Because for me, I love to put wild blueberries, spinach, a little bit of almond or cashew milk, and then I put like the superfood powders like maca, and
nice.
I'll put a little bit of hemp hearts. I'll put some MCT oil, and I'll put some chia seeds for the most part. And it tastes good. It's like a guilty pleasure because it tastes really good.
So what makes
it great?
A guilty pleasure?
Oh, because it's it's sweet. It's almost like a treat. So I don't feel bad when I take it. It's just I'll have it like 2, maybe 3 times in a day with protein powder. So I'll have it's really good. But that's like my go-to thing, that it just makes me feel great. I feel like my body's prepped up and my mind's there, and I'm going about my day. That's why I was wondering if there's a certain, maybe not even necessarily a smoothie, but if there's a certain pairing of food that you have, or a smoothie or anything else that when you have it, you feel great, and that's always your go-to.
Yeah, that's a great question. And just to touch briefly, I think you said what made me think of a really key thing is that like a lot of us have the notion that if it tastes really good, it can't actually be really good for us, can it? Right? So one of my missions in life is to convince people is that, oh my goodness, like nutritious food does taste amazing and should taste amazing. And so I think your smoothie, based on what you told me is in it, is amazing. It's great. Like, it's so exciting to know that, you have a recipe that you just love and is your go-to, but everything in it is super nutritious. So I just encourage everyone to find more of those recipes. For me personally, I love smoothies. I'm very lucky. I have an awesome roommate who likes to make them for me. So I don't have to do them myself. That's another one of my shortcuts.
That's a great shortcut.
But I do have a lot of recipes. Like, I work at a grocery store as well, doing food demos, and then I make recipes to post for my clients on my website, cravinghealth.ca, and then you just do /recipes, and there's a lot of ideas there. Yeah, different categories. I have, I believe I have some smoothies on there, lots of salads, just in case you ever change your mind, want to try again.
Perfect.
Yeah, a lot of plant-based foods, because that's one of my focus as well. So it's for, like, again, I can tell you all my preferences, but that doesn't mean it's going to be your preferences, right?
Right.
So it's really think about, I would encourage, like, what are your favorite foods and go from there. Or another way you can flip it around is think about a food that you would love to, like, you kind of like, but you just don't know how to make it better. Like, you know, I work with a lot of clients that say, like, I really want to enjoy vegetables, but I just don't know how to make them taste good, right? So then there's ideas that we can brainstorm around that. I even have a free resource on my website called Top 10 Ways to Enjoy Veggies. So it gives a whole bunch list of ideas, so anyone can check that out and download it for free. And again, just trying to find those foods that are nutritious and delicious, so it doesn't even actually feel like you're eating healthy. You're just eating in a way that you enjoy, that and happens to nourish your body the best way.
Excellent. That's awesome. You know what? Like, there's so many more things that we can get into, but I know when it comes to the free version of Zoom, it's going to kick me out soon. So.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Right?
I think we covered a lot of good stuff.
We did. But just before we finish it up, where can people find you?
Yeah, so go to cravinghealth.ca.
Okay.
And Craving Health RD, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. So again, Craving Health RD. And then especially on Instagram, well, pretty much all of them, I post all of my recipes. I post a new recipe every week. And then if you head to my website, I have under the free resources tab, there's a lot of freebies for downloads about, again, the veggies. I have a healthy snack list, but also that tastes awesome. Great snacks that are quick and easy. Healthy weight management resource. So yeah, if you're looking to really get into that mindset of craving a healthy lifestyle, then come in and check out the resources. I'd love to have you as part of my community.
Awesome, Jodi. Thank you so much. That was great.
Okay, well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. I'm going to put all the social media stuff in the show notes, and I'll tag you in all the posts. Okay?
Okay, thanks so much, Shahab. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. See ya, Jodi.
Okay, see ya. Bye.
Bye.